Hi everyone, welcome back to English with Max. In today's video, I'm going to give some TV show recommendations for advanced English learners. About a year ago, I did a similar video in which I recommended TV shows that I thought were a bit easier to understand than others. If you haven't yet watched that, I recommend that you watch that first. You can either click on the card above or the link in the description. In this video, I'm going to talk about some series which are a bit harder. So this video is ideal for you if you have an advanced level of English, if you already understand most of the TV shows that you watch, and if you want to challenge yourself. As usual, don't forget to subscribe and remember that you can also follow me on social media. In addition to these YouTube videos, I also make short videos for Instagram and Facebook. I'd also like to remind you that I've started sending out a free fortnightly newsletter. It's just a short newsletter with about 5 English tips and useful resources, and you can unsubscribe at any time. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, the first type of show I'd like to recommend are period dramas. Period dramas, also known as costume dramas or historical dramas, are stories that are set sometime in the past. Normally when we think of period dramas, we think of shows that are set in the 1950s or earlier. I'm a big fan of period dramas, probably because they're often based on books and I often prefer to watch the movie or the miniseries than to actually read the book. At least when it comes to old books. I love reading newer books, but yeah, books that were published in, say, the 19th century or earlier tend to be a bit of hard work. I particularly like period dramas that are set in the 19th and early 20th centuries. But just to be clear, I'm not somebody who romanticizes the past. I think that life was probably quite shit during the 19th century, even if you did have a lot of money. But nevertheless, I love period dramas. I think that all of the ones I'm going to mention were made by the BBC. The BBC makes a lot of period dramas. I should also say that you shouldn't watch these shows if you only want to learn how people speak in modern day life. Watch these shows if you want to challenge yourself, or if you want to learn some new vocabulary, or see how English has evolved over time. My favorite period drama is, without a doubt, the 1995 version of Pride and Prejudice. It's a 6-part miniseries by the BBC. I think I've seen it, 6 or 7 times. There was also a movie made in 2005, which some people prefer. But well, takes all kinds to make a world. I wasn't a big fan of the movie because I think it's a story that's very hard to condense into 2 hours. And another thing was that they really simplified the language. In some situations, I think using simplified language is great, but Jane Austen, who wrote the book, was known for being very witty and clever with language, and I think a lot of that was lost in the movie. I'm sure there will be people arguing about it with me in the comments. My second favorite is probably North and South, and in third place is Jane Eyre. They've also made a few movies of Jane Eyre. I've seen 2 of them, and again, I think the miniseries is much better. I've actually read all those books. Sometimes we surprise ourselves. Some other ones I enjoyed were, I have a list: Sense and Sensibility, Downton Abbey, Upstairs Downstairs, Cranford, Lark to Candleford, David Copperfield, and Bleak House. But there are a lot more. If you Google popular period dramas, you will find them. Another type of series you can watch are legal dramas. These can be quite difficult to understand if you're not a native speaker because there's a lot of jargon. Jargon is words and phrases that are used by a particular group of people. So in legal dramas, you hear a lot of words and expressions that are related to the law. My favourite legal dramas are probably The Good Wife and the spin-off of that, which is The Good Fight. Two other options are Law and Order and Suits. I personally wasn't a big fan of Suits. I think I watched one season of it, just because I found it very unrealistic. I mean, none of these shows are very realistic. If they were, they'd probably be quite boring. But Suits is one of those shows in which everybody is very attractive and looks perfect all the time and is always sounding really smart. That's just my opinion. I know lots of people liked it. Again, if you want more options, just Google legal dramas. You could also watch police and crime dramas. Some of these are a little easier to understand than others. For example, Broadchurch, which I talked about in my other video, but a lot of them are very fast-paced and they use a lot of police jargon. Some police shows that I have enjoyed recently are Happy Valley, The Fall, Unforgotten, Line of Duty, and Death in Paradise. Some other options are Sherlock. Some of the dialogue in that is very fast. Elementary, NCIS, The Killing, and The Wire. I only watched 1 or 2 episodes of The Wire. It wasn't really my thing, but I do want to say that if you watch it, please don't think that most native speakers talk like that. There's a lot of swearing, you hear the F word in every second or third sentence, and while most native speakers sometimes swear, most of us don't swear that often. There are plenty of crime dramas to choose from. If you have Netflix or another streaming service and you search for crime or police dramas, you will find a lot. I also strongly recommend that you read about these shows before you watch them, because some of them can be quite violent, and sometimes even if you don't see things, the characters talk about things which can be quite disturbing. We're all different, we have different reactions to those types of things. I just thought I should say that. Another option is medical dramas. Again, there's lots of jargon. I'm not a big fan of medical dramas, so I can't personally recommend any, but some popular ones are, or were, Grey's Anatomy, House, and ER. And finally, some comedies. I know I said in my other video that comedies can be quite hard to understand, but it depends. If you want some recommendations for easier comedies, go watch my other video. For this video, I've thought of some that are more difficult. The first one is The Big Bang Theory. There is also Young Sheldon, which is a spin-off of The Big Bang Theory. That one can be a bit tricky because it's set in Texas and lots of the characters have strong accents. Another comedy is Gilmore Girls. This wasn't one of my favorite shows, but I did watch the entire series. Gilmore Girls can be quite hard because there's a lot of fast dialogue and there are a lot of cultural references, which even I didn't get sometimes. Another one is Community. It's very different to Gilmore Girls, but it also has a lot of very fast dialogue and a lot of cultural references, which can be hard to understand if you didn't grow up in an English-speaking country. One of my favorite British comedies is Fawlty Towers. This was actually made in the 70s, but it's become a classic and lots of people still love it. Another British comedy show that I like is Would I Lie to You? This isn't a fictional story, it's a panel show. I think this video is already getting quite long, so I won't describe it, I'll just let you Google it. And finally, I'd like to recommend an Australian series. Unfortunately, this only ran for 1 season, which I was very sad about because In general, I don't really like Australian TV shows. I watch a few Australian shows with political satire and occasionally a reality show, but in my opinion, Australia hasn't produced many great fictional series. Sisters is actually a comedy drama, or a dramedy, which basically means it's a drama that has some funny moments. It's available on Netflix in Australia, so maybe that means it's also available in other countries. That's it, guys. I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments if you like to watch series and which ones, particularly if they're in English. And as usual, if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up and share it with your friends. See you next time. Dramas just have to So it's hot today. My cat's meowing. Monty, go away. Oh shit, I left it running. Read the movie.